Look, I don't like the Marianne Williamson one in particular because it plays into this very dismissive nature that I'm seeing from people in the media where they think, oh, she doesn't have experience in politics, she doesn't know what she's doing, the orbs and the crystals and the psychic stuff, that's all she's all about. But she's actually incredibly smart.
No. Although this is said with good intentions, it is a badly misplaced good intention. It is quite appropriate to judge someone by their convictions, and it is important and useful to judge a politician by their convictions. Although it may be inappropriate to judge someone by the religion they are born into, if they're a member of that religion because of decisions made by their parents, by their grandparents, or by their ancestors centuries ago, decisions they may not be responsible for, they may not have reconsidered, they may not have thought through the consequences of. By the same token, it is appropriate and it is important to judge someone if they themselves chose the religion that they were a part of, if they themselves invented or reinvented the religion they were a part of. In this case, Marianne Williamson is someone who didn't just choose a new religion. She propounded it, became its leading preacher. In many ways, she redefined the religion that she was a member of and that she was a major leader of.
And I wanted to do a defense of Marianne Williamson. It's more about the dismissive nature I'm noticing from everyone in the media, both mainstream and independent media, when it comes to Marianne Williamson. And look, to be fair, she didn't really get much of an opportunity to speak during the debates. I wasn't dismissive of her, but I didn't really think much about Marianne Williamson until, believe it or not, I watched her full interview on Dave Rubin's show. And look, this is not to say that Dave Rubin's a great interviewer. That is not the case. But she was given a platform where she was able to really speak her mind and delve into the issues that matter to her.
Pictured here is the cover of the book that Marianne Williamson devoted her life to teaching and preaching. This book, A Course in Miracles, was allegedly written by Jesus Christ. That may not seem surprising to you. A lot of people devote their lives to a book allegedly written by Jesus Christ. This one is a little bit unusual in that he supposedly wrote it in English between the year 1965 and 1972.
It would be a big mistake if people use the Course as a way of building another church, a cult, a community of followers, etc. Its purpose is to be a self-study course where people develop a relationship with Jesus or the Holy Spirit and work with them on healing their relationships.
Many of the terms in the Course are Christian, so-called Christian terms, but what the Course does is give a whole new understanding and a different interpretation, you might say, to the terms, so that the Holy Spirit in the Course would really be the presence in our right mind of the memory of God. The Course says God did not create this world because it's the opposite of heaven, all right? There's no materiality in heaven. There's only spirit. There's no bodies. There's oneness, not multiplicity. You begin to understand that we're starting from a whole different point of view here. And that's why the Course says, my interests are not separate from yours, because ultimately we are all one, not as you and me, but the oneness of heaven.
Right. So that doesn't sound like a new religious movement at all, huh? That doesn't sound like a religion at all. It's just a course. It's just a course to help you have a new relationship with Jesus Christ, God, your soul, the afterlife, the infinity. Right. Got it. A course. They're an educational foundation. Yeah. And just like a 2-minute Google search of Marianne Williamson lecturing on this, or even a glance at the almighty Wikipedia about what Marianne Williamson did with her career, yeah, might be a little bit more of an educational perspective than what we hear here from the Young Turks and Anna Kasparian.
She went into deep details on various issues: reparations, corporate control, corporate greed. I mean, it was impressive. I really enjoyed listening to her speak about these important issues and do so as candidly as she did.
No, I actually think she's terrific in a lot of ways, and I've interviewed her a number of times. And one other thing that they're discounting is that she built a giant movement in this country.
That's right, Cenk. She built a giant movement. A giant movement based on lies. Lies and superstition and taking advantage of emotionally damaged, vulnerable people who were reaching out for help. That's what she did. And here you are making excuses for her.
She built a giant movement in this country, and that's not a small thing. And everybody's like, oh, Crystal's this, ha ha, says I don't do it, I'm laughing, right? But there are millions of people in this country that she has empowered and love her, and she built that out of nowhere.
Would you make that excuse for the Pope? Would you make that excuse for a firebrand Muslim preacher? How about even a Buddhist preacher? How about this, Cenk? Seeing as you guys at the Young Turks really do like to do investigative reporting, it turns out that her foundation, the Foundation for Inner Peace, it's a registered charity. It's a 501c charity. Do you think you'd maybe Google around and come up with an estimate of how much money she's made from this? How much money she's made from that foundation, from selling millions of copies of that particular book, from promoting that book on the Oprah Winfrey Show, or from her own series of best-selling spiritual books exploiting people's superstition, ignorance, emotional vulnerability, and desperation for help. People need help. People want help. People are reaching out for love, and they will donate money, including, bequests, including when they die, leaving all their possessions, to a foundation like the Foundation for Inner Peace. People will do anything just to get what Marianne Williamson is willing to give them. And you can watch the videos yourself of what complete nonsense she has to say when she's on stage behind the microphone preaching to these true believers. You could have done any of this backwards checking, and then you could come on camera and you could tell me if you have any respect for the message or the messenger or for the supposedly positive benefit this has in people's lives. But yeah, it'd be nice to hear how much money you think she's made out of this venture, and then how those millions of dollars ended up getting funneled into repeated attempts to get herself elected to Congress and now to President of the United States. That doesn't sound like the sort of story that a lifelong anti-corruption activist like yourself, Cenk Uygur, someone who's opposed to money in politics, someone whose battle cry is get money in politics, that doesn't sound like something you'd be really sympathetic to. When I've heard you preach so many times, get money out of politics. Of all the money in politics, Marianne Williamson's money is the dirtiest money of all.
So I think she deserves a tremendous amount of respect for that.